Hey everybody, welcome to Trading the Close. My name is Gareth Soloway here with VerifiedInvesting.com to look at all the key technical trading setups for the day, looking into what's going to happen tomorrow. Remember, shortened week with Thanksgiving, but there's plenty of action to be had in the markets, including a bunch of earnings after the bell that'll just be out in about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll take a look at those as well. Bitcoin falling today again. We'll look at that. Gold paused today, I should say. Just very, very quiet on the gold front, waiting for that key PCE inflation data tomorrow. And then we did have some moves like MicroStrategy's flushing quite a bit today, as again, traders are getting nervous about that Bitcoin trade, even though I still think it's going to break 100,000 in the near term. All right, let's get into the action today. Let's take a look at our charts here. If we take a look, this is the S&P 500. We're starting here because I want to just take a look at where the S&P is on the daily chart. So the one thing to take note of here, folks, if we look at this, right, we have this break above this trend line today. So the S&P is higher, we have the Dow higher. This is, remember, a holiday week. Always have a neutral to upside bias on a holiday week. Big institutions go away, they take early breaks for the holiday, and then you have retail traders. In general, retail traders are going to be neutral to positive. They're putting money on the long side, not on the short side. It favors the upside. So today, again, we're up about 0.6% on the S&P currently, as it's grinding just above the previous pivot high. What does this mean? To me, it means there's likely more upside to be had over the next day, maybe tomorrow more upside, and even Friday could be an up day. Friday is a half day, but the volume should be very, very light. All right. Let's take a look at a few of these other charts out there as we go through. If we take a look at the intraday, you can see how quiet of a day it was. Look at this, guys, on the intraday S&P, and I'm going to bring my parallel tool up. So if we draw this and we just stretch it up, look at this. So again, this was the start of the day, floated up, high end, low end. And then look at the end of the day, right up into that high. So that just shows you, and again, we're looking at the 10-minute chart on the S&P 500 or the SPY. Now this morning I gave you guys Coles, and in the game plan, I gave you this exact level, $14.30 right here. Look at the low of the day on Coles, right to that level. Now, how did I know that was going to be a major technical level for a long trade, which, by the way, we played in the live day trading room? Because it was a gap fill. If we zoom out on this and we go all the way back here and we zoom in going back to 2020, it right there, look at that, folks, right to that gap fill. That's exactly the low on Coles. And that's the power of technical analysis. It really is amazing how it can show us what the likely, and I stress likely because it's never 100%. There's always a level that gets broken. But take a look at MicroStrategy's today. This was a trend line that I've had on my charts for quite some time. If we go to our monthly chart, look at this, guys. The high from 2000, the dot-com high, this was a retrace play to the scene of the crime. It broke above this level. Look at where it comes back to today, getting a little bit of a bounce. It also makes me think that Bitcoin could be at a major technical support, and therefore MicroStrategies is likely to bounce higher, and potentially that tells us Bitcoin's going to go higher since they generally trade in tandem. Now today, folks, what was the big winner and loser of the day? MicroStrategy was one loser, sure, but what was interesting about today, the whole market was floating up, but look at the semiconductors today. The semiconductors fell most of the day. They're catching a little bit of a bid into the end of the day here ahead of Dell earnings. But nonetheless, very interesting to see how weak the semis have become. If we go to the daily chart, this is a major chart pattern that I'm keeping on my radar. It's called a head and shoulders pattern. And again, head and shoulder patterns are very, very bearish, but I'm just watching this at this point. All right, the key again, there's your shoulder. You're in the process of forming your right shoulder. If you ever break the neckline here, which already would be a big sell-off from where we currently are, this market would be in a lot of trouble, as the semis would have a downside target basically to about 130 to 140 down here. That would be a massive sell-off from the current levels. But watch this formation. It is a very bearish formation, but it has to trigger, and the trigger would be down around 205 on the chart. All right, flipping to another one right here, folks. If we take a look, the Russell yesterday made a new all-time high, piercing double top. What did it end up doing today? It pulled back. Interestingly enough, what did the mega caps do today? Apple was up. If we take a look at AAPL, This stock rallying higher here. You can see right into a key trend line, piercing that trend line right there. Nice bear flag, by the way, on Apple. There's also a downsloping trend line right here that's going to be additional resistance. So a lot of resistance. I would think we would test the high end of this trend line probably tomorrow or on Friday based on the light volume. That's going to be the big battle for Apple, though. But my point being, again, guys, is that today was a day where it kind of was a rotation back in capital. What do I mean by that? Well, we had yesterday, the Russell surging well, I think it was up like 1.65%, while the NASDAQ just eked out a small gain. Well, today it was the flip side, right? So you had the small caps selling off, pulling back, while the mega caps took the lead today and went up. We had Meta up sizably today, Google, Amazon, Apple all doing really, really well. Even NVIDIA with the semis weak still eked out a small gain. All right, couple things to go over here. We do have earnings after the bell here on Workday. So far, nothing out on Workday just yet. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Holy cow, here we go. There's earnings out on Workday, folks. So far popping initially, although it's just coming out. Going to the daily chart, kind of maybe a little inverse head and shoulder, heads up there, but again, interesting chart there. Let's see if it continues to hold. Yep, continues to push up. Beautiful move here on earnings. Where's first resistance? Right now we're at 290. Wow, rallying up sharply. Let's take a look. There's a gap fill at 292. 292 would be first resistance, and then after that, 307 would be another major high pivot. So those would be your two levels. Looks like we're pulling back a little bit here. We got to almost 290, now coming back in on the charts and now shooting all around. You can see the volatility on earnings, pretty incredible, the moves in price. Dell will report here. I think it's at 405 or 410, though, in the after hours, so that's not out yet. CrowdStrike is also set to report. By the way, with CrowdStrike, take a look at this. Remember this big drop on CrowdStrike on their kind of their software glitch, and then also the early August sell-off? The stock has rallied 82% from those lows. All right, it is approaching highs here. There'll be a resistance at 400 on earnings and then 425. Support will be this gap fill at 307 and then down around this 240 area right down here. But again, those earnings I don't think come out till about 405 in the after hours. Autodesk reported here, looks like initially opening lower, starting to push up just a little bit in the after hours. We'll come back and check in on these in 1 second. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, all right? So what we're seeing in Bitcoin, folks, and let me flip over to these and erase this here. If we go to Bitcoin, Bitcoin again is trading down about $1,700 to $1,800 today. But the kicker is this, is that right now, and I said this today in the game plan, you see this shelf right here, this area right here. If we extend that out, essentially it's right into that. So you're at short-term support on Bitcoin, which is kind of what I was curious about with MicroStrategies. MicroStrategies had that double top, right? So it broke above the double top, and now it's come back in right in here. So generally, as charts work, you should get some sort of bounce, which maybe implies Bitcoin making a short-term move to the upside. We'll check in on that. If it does break this level, though, there's no major support until about 75K, 75,000. So this is a really big level for Bitcoin to hold if you're a Bitcoin bull. Will be interesting to see, these two stocks, MicroStrategies and Bitcoin, or Bitcoin being a crypto, obviously they will trade generally in tandem. All right. Couple other things to just go over here. If we look at gold today, what did gold do? Gold, last I checked, was really quiet on the day. Here's your gold chart, guys, with your center points. You can see, again, that was your target right there on the pullback, and we got the pullback, obviously, on Monday. Today, a small bounce on gold. I still think, honestly, gold's probably going to head lower, but it may need to chop sideways here. Remember, PCE data tomorrow, I think at 10 a.m., kind of a weird holiday release on PCE, but nonetheless, that's what they're doing. Silver today, if we take a look at silver, silver continues to just get a small bounce like gold. You got downside support, a little support at 29. I still think it might go as low as 28. Oil today was essentially flat to negative, still struggling mightily here with so much supply out there and OPEC showing no signs of cutting back any sort of production. And then natural gas, which we made great money on just a few days ago on a short, moving right back up. And again, I'll still be interested to re-short if we get north of $3.65 on natural gas. All right, guys. So listen, Keep an eye on these earnings in the after hours. Workday, Dell, CrowdStrike, all of these names inclusive of Autodesk as well. And we saw again, and I'm just going to actually run back real quick. Interesting. Look at Workday, guys. Sorry to flip back to the charts here, but Workday has reversed its early gains and now starting to go down. Interesting. Let's look at Autodesk ADSK real quick here. That one's opened lower on earnings and is now pushing up, but only up slightly in the after hours. And let's just look at Dell. Ooh, Dell, guys. I actually wrote an article. If you're following on the blog, and I'm going to show you guys this in just one second. We're going to make this a little bit longer. I was about to wrap up, but now that it's going down, I want to show you this. All right, let's go right here real quick here, folks. If we look at Verified Investing's website here, let's jump here. If we go here, let me just zoom it out a little bit here. You can see right over here, there's an article right here called CrowdStrike Earnings. I want to show you guys this, actually the Dell one down here. But you can see there's so much amazing technical analysis, so many trading opportunities on the homepage of Verified Investing. But if we take a look at this chart or this article, and if we click on the chart here, look at this. Major short trade, major resistance. It's a Fibonacci retrace right there. Parallel channel, which is bearish inside bar. It means Dell was going to sell off. In fact, the article talks about Dell being, you can see stock chart is bearish into earnings. And then if we flip back to our chart of Dell in the after hours, it is selling off on earnings. Very cool stuff. All right, anyways, I don't want to get too sidetracked in trading the close today. My point is that the verifiedinvesting.com website has incredible knowledge and actionable trade opportunities on it, and those are all free on the homepage. Everything on that homepage is absolutely free. Use it to your advantage. These game plans, I gave a great trade this morning on the KSS Coles level, nailing the exact low there. So again, it's for you guys because you guys are awesome. And always remember that. I do what I do, we do what we do here because we want to make a shining star in the otherwise ridiculous world of hype from social media, narratives from mainstream media. Technical analysis is logic-based, and again, it's based on data. And that's one thing that you can't, there's no messing around with it. Data is data. All right, on that note, I bid you all the best of goodbyes. I'll see you tomorrow morning for the game plan. Take care.